WVTM 13 News begins with breaking news.
Good morning, I'm Eunice Elliott.
I'm Rick Carley. This morning we are expected to hear from President Trump following last night's attack on U.S. military bases in Iraq.
Iran striking back at the United States for killing General Qasem Soleimani. More than a dozen ballistic missiles were fired at two military bases in Iraq, both housing American troops. Iran calls it, quote, proportionate measures in self-defense. At this hour, we have not heard of any deaths, although there is a concern of a possible war. Iran says it does not want it to escalate that far.
In the aftermath of this attack, President Trump tweeting, "All is well. We have the most powerful and well-equipped military anywhere in the world by far." And in Iran, this tweet from a representative, the supreme leader. The tweet simply the flag of Iran. Remember this in response to President Trump's tweeting the American flag after killing the General Soleimani. The supreme leader of Iran sending a warning saying, "The time for hit and run is over. If you hit, you get hit back." The crowd then chants, "Allahu Akbar, death to America."
All of this is happening as crowds in Iran pay their respects to General Soleimani. He was buried last night in his hometown. Iranians view him as a national hero. The situation with Iran has escalated in just a matter of days.
Yeah, it all started January 30th. Remember, the United States launching airstrikes hitting Baghdad International Airport. At least 7 people were killed, including General Soleimani and 2 other military leaders.
The next day, NATO suspended training missions in Iraq, citing security concerns. The same day, President Trump tweets the U.S. has targeted 52 Iranian sites. If it could hit, it would hit if Iran retaliates.
January 6, Iran's foreign minister tweets to President Trump threatening war crimes if he strikes Iranian cultural sites.
Now to yesterday, more than 50 people are killed in a stampede during General Soleimani's funeral. And finally to last night when Iran fired dozens of ballistic missiles at U.S.-led forces in Iraq. This morning, we're getting feedback from Alabama lawmakers on Iran's attacks on U.S. troops.
Senator Doug Jones opposed the first U.S. airstrike. Now his focus is on the people here at home.
What we know is that the president and the administration with the killing of Soleimani is put Americans at risk. And what I want to know is, what are we doing now? We can go back and we can revisit what happened, why was there an imminent threat. But I'm really, obviously more important, I've got Alabama men and women who are going to be going over there. I want to know what's, if they're going to be at risk. And we need to have a briefing, a full, complete briefing on what's going on and what they expect in the near future.
Now, meanwhile, for the first time this morning, we're hearing from Republican leaders here in Alabama.
Representative Mike Rogers does believe the attack was intentional, but not necessarily meant to kill any Americans.
I think that's the first indication by the president that he does plan to de-escalate. He recognizes that this was intentional by the Iranians to hit near the air bases and in unpopulated areas as a way to tell their domestic population, we hit back, but to not cross a line of killing Americans.
Democrat Representative Terry Sewell shares similar thoughts as Representative Rogers. She tweeted, "Let's pray for cooler heads to prevail." As soon as President Trump issues his statement this morning, we will let you know about it through our free WVTM 13 app. Make sure you have your notifications turned on. And here at home, our attention is focused on possible severe weather this weekend.
That's right. Meteorologist Stephanie Walker standing by. Changes underway over the next few days, huh, Steph?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, this morning things are very quiet. We've got widespread cold temperatures across central Alabama. Look at this, 25 in Gadsden. So there are a lot of locations that are below freezing this morning. 28 in Anniston, down to the freezing mark in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa at 32, 27 in Haleyville. So a good mix of 20s and 30s. It's a cold morning, but dry, of course. WVTM 13 live Doppler not showing any rain across the area. Sunny skies expected today. Will warm up nicely, close to 60 degrees as we head into later on this afternoon. We're going to have more on that threat for severe storms heading into the weekend coming up. Back to you.
Okay, Stephanie, more breaking news overnight from Iran as a Boeing 737 carrying 176 people crashed after takeoff from Tehran. Everyone on board was killed. The plane was headed toward Ukraine. Early indications suggested engine failure as the cause. Veterans website Automobile hacked with an image of Iranian President Qasem Soleimani. A group called Shield Iran is taking credit for the hack. The same group has been responsible for other digital invasions around the world. Experts suggest this hack may be a prank.
Time is 4:05. The 2 children injured in yesterday morning's apartment fire in Birmingham remain in intensive care. The fire started at an apartment on Court U. That's near the 5 Points West neighborhood in Inslee. We're told the children had minor burns but were dealing with smoke inhalation. No one else was injured and the cause of that fire is under investigation. State leaders want to make sure you fill out a 2020 census report this spring. The forms will be sent out in March. The census numbers determine how much federal money the state will get for infrastructure and health care. It also determines Alabama's representation in Congress. In 2010, 73% of Alabama residents completed the census form, although it's estimated 100,000 people were not counted.
Strengthening health care in rural Alabama to be a major talking point in the 2020 legislative sessions. 13 hospitals in our state have closed over the past 10 years. 7 of those were in rural parts of our state. President Pro Tem Del Marsh says the legislature will look at medical transport as one solution. Speaker of the House, Mac McCutcheon, suggests depending on more clinics instead of hospitals. We'll see what they decided to do when the legislative session begins on February 4th.
New this morning, a new way to travel is coming to downtown Birmingham. It's called micro-mobility, and it allows you to rent bikes or scooters to get to where you're going. WVTM 13 Sarah Killian is live from downtown. Good morning, Sarah. How is this different from what we already have?
Well, hey, Eunice, for the last 5 years, people have been able to rent these zip bikes to travel around downtown. But the contract on these expired at the end of 2019, and as you can see, they are now locked up and you can no longer ride them. Now, the city is looking at providing other options for people. And right now, this form of micromobility that the city is looking into would be bikes and scooters. Now, this form of micromobility, what makes it different from what these zip bikes are, is that they are dockless. So you can rent them. This makes it more cost efficient, and City Councilor Daryl O'Quinn says this also means we're going to see these bikes and scooters in places outside of downtown.
Because the cost of overhead is lower, we can potentially have a much broader service area and provide bikes and scooters in neighborhoods that wouldn't have seen them otherwise.
Now, the city hopes to have these bikes and scooters out around the downtown area by this spring. Meanwhile, some of these zip bikes are still out around downtown, but as I mentioned, they're locked up. You can't ride them. But the company that owns the bikes, they're in the process of collecting them. In fact, we were traveling around downtown this morning, around Railroad Park, around UAB. No more zip bikes around. These are the last ones we were able to find around downtown. So they are in the process of getting these bikes off the streets now. Live in Birmingham, Sarah Killian, WVTM 13.
Thanks, Sarah. Time now is 4:07. Happening now, the Coleman County Sheriff's Office needs your help identifying these 2 suspects. They may have been using counterfeit money at a business in the Battleground area. If you know who either of these 2 people are, you can call the Coleman County Sheriff's Office. New this morning, an East Tavoga man facing kidnapping and domestic violence charges. Court documents showing Alan Gardner injured a woman using a gun. We do not know the severity of that injury. Gardner was arrested last week. Police say he abducted the victim January 2nd. This morning, he is in the Calhoun County Jail on a $150,000 bond. Hoover police say a woman fired from her job at a hotel took money from the cash register as she left. On the way out, police say 19-year-old Jakiria Nunn-Smith also assaulted her former boss. Officers responded to the residence inns yesterday morning around 9:30. Nunn-Smith had already left the scene but was found and arrested a short time later. She is charged with robbery. There is little support for starting 2 charter schools here in Birmingham. Last night, Knowledge Unlimited and Magic City Acceptance Academy pitched to the school board why their schools should open. Most folks in attendance believe Birmingham needs to improve the schools already established and not start new ones. The school board will vote on the charter schools January 24th. The BJCC is about to get a makeover. This week, a committee approved renovation plans. Crews will expand the arena, enhance the fan experience. A new look will add a glass wall to the BJCC for natural lighting. All told, cost about $125 million. Renovations start in April. It will take about 18 months to finish. Steph, Eunice, that's what I need. I need a makeover.